To this regular meeting of the Pasco School Board of Directors. It is 6:30 and I will call this meeting to order. This regularly scheduled school board meeting was preceded by our study session at 4:30, which was around replacement levy planning and giving the district some guidance about how to move forward with that. If you're interested in listening to that session, it is available on the school district's YouTube channel. So moving forward with our agenda, we will begin with our flag salute. This evening, we have Maya Angelou Elementary here with their principal, Ms. Sisney.
Good evening, President Amanda Brown, Superintendent Mrs. Whitney, and members of the board. It is a pleasure to be here tonight, and I am super honored to be here with these amazing, outstanding fifth grade students. They were selected to be here this evening for always exhibiting strong character, behavioristics, and their work ethic, and they serve as great role models for our school community, and I'm excited for you to get to meet all of them.
My name is Jacob Nunez, and I like that the school community is kind. Can my family please stand?
Hi, my name is Alisa Fuentes, and I love that the school is a place that you can learn and find a lot of friends. May my family please stand up. Hi, I'm Haley Covarrubias, and I like how the teachers teach us, and I like how they respect us. Can my family please stand up?
Hi, my name is Jackie Hurtado, and I like the school weekly stores. May my family please stand up.
Hi, my name is Piper Lopez. One thing I love about Maya Angelou is that it's a safe place to share thoughts and ideas. May my mom please wave. Hi, I'm Abigail Nunez, and Maya Angelou is a place for me to feel safe and responsible of my stuff. May my family please stand up.
Hello, my name is Langston Pivincombe. One thing I like about Maya Angelou is that our teachers are nice and motivates us to work harder. May my family please stand up.
Hi, I'm Eve Garcia. One thing I love about Maya Angelou is that each grade gets to perform a play for the school. May my family please stand up. May the audience please stand for the flag salute. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for being here this evening, and thank you to the parents who brought your students. Our board representatives have something for each of you, and we always like to take a picture with our students that come to say the flag salute. So if you could all line up along the wall so we can have our beautiful photo of you, and then the district will have a memory that you were here forever.
He'll turn the light off. Lucy, he'll turn it off for you. They can stay where they're at. Thank you.
the principal and to the students and the families who brought their students this evening, thank you so much for sharing your time with us and sharing your students' talents. And Principal Sisney, it's so great to hear about what the students enjoy about their school. Thank you so much for sharing your students with us. The next item on our agenda is roll call. Ms. Richardson, may we have a roll call, please?
Amanda Brown.
Present.
John Kennedy.
Present.
Steve Barber.
Present.
Amy Phillips.
Present.
Steve Simmons.
Present.
Vicki Alvarez Molina.
Present.
Jessica Espinoza Chavez.
Present.
Noe Lima Ponce.
Present.
Eden Marisco.
Present.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Next, we have approval of our minutes from our regular board meeting from September 9th, 2025. I would entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve our minutes from the last meeting, September 9th, 2025. We will vote on this motion by voice. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any in opposition? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. The next item on our agenda is our agenda review. Ms. Whitney, who is doing this from the podium.
Board President Brown, members of the board, there are no additions or changes to tonight's agenda, and we are not requesting an executive session.
Thank you, and that is a perfect, since you're already at the podium, I assume that you plan to segue into our special recognition for the evening.
Oh, I do. That's exactly why I'm up here. I was also segueing right into my report that's later, but let's do this first. So it is my absolute pleasure to get to do this special recognition tonight. Board President Brown and members of our board tonight, we're proud to recognize Frost Elementary as the drum roll 2024-25 Outstanding Action Team for Partnership, also known as ATP of the Year. Congratulations. Can we clap for them? As active members of the Johns Hopkins National Network of Partnership Schools, Pasco School Districts, and Family Partnership Office annually honors schools that exemplify excellence in family and community engagement. Out of 25 ATPs across the district, Frost Elementary stood out for their exceptional leadership, creativity, and commitment to putting students first. Frost's ATP is a high-energy, well-organized team led by Principal Kelly Leonard, Assistant Principal Ramon Ayala, and ATP chairs Israel Garcia Duran, Adriana Portugal, and together they have something remarkable. Jenny noticed I don't have my glasses, so I can't see, so she brought them to me. Oh, yes, that's so much better. Okay. Their meetings are more than agendas. They are community-building experiences that include icebreakers, incentive, childcare, dinner, and open opportunities for parents' voice and feedback. This intentional approach has fostered a true spirit of collaboration, innovation, and belonging. Families feel welcome and engaged, staff feel supported, and the students are ultimately the beneficiaries, thriving in an environment where home, school, and family works together. Oh my gosh. It's almost like I've never done this before. All right, Frost Elementary is a shining example of how strong partnership drives student success and student achievement. Their work reminds us that when families, educators, and community come together, we build a foundation for learning that lasts a lifetime. At this time, I would like to invite Kelly, Ramon, Israel, and Alejandra up to be recognized for their leadership. On behalf of the school district, it is my honor to congratulate Frost Elementary on being named the 24-25 Outstanding ATP of the Year. Please come on up. Okay, come on up, right up over here. You guys go first. No one wants to be first. Come here.
I usually say, you are first.
Oh, congratulations. Well deserved. Well deserved. Okay, Mark's going to turn the light off so you're not in there. We're going to scoot this way. Come to me. Oh, no, you're good. Stay right there. Okay, now stop. There you go. There you go. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. Okay, Mr. Portugal, get over here so you can get a good one.
I wanted to get the board.
Oh, okay. Shift this way so Mr. Portugal can get a good photo.
Why don't we come and stand with you?
Well, that would be great. That would be awesome.
Mr. Portugal was my very first evaluator, so you take the picture from wherever you like.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Sorry, guys. Thanks for the big question. Awesome.
Okay, I'll steal his shot right here, so 1, 2, and 3. Perfect, thank you.
Action team partnerships have been shown through research to have a significant effect on student achievement. And so thank you to Frost Elementary for showing that passion through their ATP. And Ramon can't leave without me mentioning that he was also the champion of the Fiery Foods Festival VIP pepper eating contest. So I went and took some pictures of him, and he was just like sweating and crying, but he won the VIP pepper eating contest. And I got to work with Alejandra at Fuerza Elementary. She was a kindergarten teacher and reading specialist when we worked there together. So what a great opportunity to recognize great things going on in our district. Next item on the agenda is audience comments. The Pasco School Board values comments from its staff, stakeholders in the community, such as students, parents, and other community members. If you would like to approach the board this evening and make a public comment, you can come up to the podium. You have a 2-minute time limit. That time limit is shown by the timer here in front of Ms. Richardson. It will start to blink yellow at 1 minute, showing that you have 1 minute left, and then when your 2 minutes is up, it will blink red and beep. We ask that you wrap up your comments at that time. If you are online, you will simply be muted. In accordance with Board Policy 1411, the board does not respond to public comment, but feel free to send your comments to the board in an email. You will also have the option to comment after our reports, and if you have any additional comments that come to your mind during those reports, or if you would rather do it after the reports that we were here this evening. So I see that we have an audience commentator at the podium. If you could please start by stating your name and affiliation with the district, and be mindful of your 2 minutes.
My name is Chelsea Gerber, and I'm wearing the hat of employee. I work at Stevens Middle School. This year, we have something called Parent Square. I don't know who's responsible for it, but I would like to thank them. It provides an opportunity for us to communicate with families. It'll automatically translate into that family's language in their home. It's an app they can have on their phone, so I feel like it's increasing communication with families. I sent a blanket message out to families yesterday, and within seconds, I had 4 parents responding. And I just really appreciate having that. It's made it a lot more accessible to communicate with families on a regular basis. So thank you to whoever that was.
Is there anyone else present in the boardroom who would like to offer public comment? Mr. Garrett, do we have anyone online? Thank you. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda, which this evening consists of personnel, warrants, approval of a Spark grant for career-connected learning, approval of long-term facilities management plan updates, Orion High School project construction change order number 11, out-of-state overnight student travel from McLaughlin Middle School FCC LA students to National Fall Leadership Institute in Anaheim, California, overnight student travel for Chiawana High School DECA students to attend DECA Western Leadership Conference in Bellevue, Washington, and overnight student travel for Pasco High School DECA students to Bellevue, Washington. I would entertain a motion.
Board President Brown, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as presented. Is there any discussion by the board? Hearing none, may we have a roll call vote, please? Ms. Richardson?
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Dr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Dr. Marber?
Yes.
Ms. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously. Action items and extended study and discussion are next on the agenda, of which we have none this evening, and so we move forward to our reports. The first of which is a District Strategic Improvement Plan refresh recommendation presented by our own Ms. Whitney.
Board President Brown, members of the board, it's my pleasure to be in front of you tonight talking about our district strategic improvement plan approach, which we are referring to as a tune-up. So the purpose of this presentation is to provide some background information about our district strategic plan and also confirm the district's direction or the board's direction that you provided to me during a study session on September 9th. And then this would be an opportunity for you to provide ask for any last clarity or frame the work or make any last requests before myself and district staff begin the tuning up process. So just by way of background, the District Strategic Improvement Plan is part of a cohesive system that, when aligned, keeps us totally focused on our outrageous outcomes with a variety of different components. So our outrageous outcomes are monitored through our growth monitoring framework. We have our district strategic improvement plan, but our school improvement plans are directly aligned to that. And then as a school board, you hear state of the school reviews directly from our principals and their leadership teams annually. All of those things are in alignment so that as we're doing the work of one, we're kind of lifting the whole system. So it's really designed to be that cohesive network of support, all focused on our 100% goals. When this particular strategic plan was adopted in 2021, it was actually adopted in 2020. We put a push pin in it because of the pandemic and picked it back up in 2021. It was on a 5-year cycle, with the first year being a prepare to launch year, the 3 kind of middle years being launching all of the strategic initiatives, and then this year is what we call a land and replan year. We are focused on our outrageous outcomes. The district strategic plan is wholly focused around and really grounded in our 5 outrageous outcomes that, when combined, create a trajectory of success for our students who to read on grade level, do math by the end, or be successful in mathematics at the end of 9th grade, be on track for graduation at the end of 9th grade, graduate with a career path, and have meaningful connections and hope for their future. And all those are fundamentally grounded in the belief that all students are capable of success, no exception. So I came to you on the 9th of September to have a conversation on whether during this time of the land and replan year, were we really wanting to focus on tuning up our existing plan or completely rebuilding the plan? And where we landed in that conversation is to focus on a tune-up instead of a rebuild, which means we will engage in a strategic review or tuning up the existing strategic plan. We will use some existing tools we already have, and we've spent a lot of time on gathering feedback from stakeholders over the last couple of years. We have the MTSS Needs Assessment and Fidelity Implementation Rubric. There's some recommendations from an outside third-party consulting firm called AIR. And we can use our academic, behavioral, and social emotional learning data. I also did a very comprehensive listening tour in 23-24. That listening tour data was used last year by the first ever Superintendent's Employee Advisory Council. Last year, they came up with some very specific and detailed recommendations for us. So those action plans are currently in the hands of staff, and we're working through those. So those can be integrated in the plan. Last year, we did deep engagement around the journey of a graduate. That information can be used to tune up the plan. And then Raul and Sarah have been working with the operational departments around goals and benchmark metrics. And then you have board policies around board progress monitoring reports. That is where you define what academic benchmark data we would look at. We've been talking about that work as we've looked at the superintendent evaluation policy. So all of those pieces are already work that have lots of what I call fingerprints on it, and really can be and should be integrated as part of the tune-up process. So we'll use all of that information to update the data metrics that we use to monitor our progress toward our 100% goals, and then realign initiatives while keeping our existing vision and priorities intact. I'd also like to just point out that typically when a district does a full-scale rebuild, it's done by an outside third-party consultant, and those consulting costs can be very expensive, anywhere between $20,000 and $60,000 to bring an outside third-party consultant in to do a full-scale refresh. So that was really kind of fundamental to our recommendation around having a tune-up. We already had a lot of feedback from stakeholders over the last couple of years, but we also are mindful that during times of financial volatility, postponing a full-scale refresh or a full-scale redesign makes a lot of sense to avoid the plan losing credibility, because the question will be, well, how do we sustain the financial support for it? Also, in periods of high stress, it's better to focus on the current challenge versus doing kind of long-range thinking. It's really about adapting the system for our short-term challenges. And then delaying that comprehensive strategic planning effort will allow for us to do kind of more authentic and deeper engagement in the future. Right now, people are really worried about how budget tensions are impacting our current and immediate situation, which may really undermine feedback and have it focused on their immediate fears about those reductions versus kind of that long-range planning and kind of big picture, really dreaming about the organization that we want to see long-term. So studies are really clear and caution districts that strategic planning during turbulent times can produce reactive short-term documents rather than a true strategic document. So all of those were the underpinnings of the rationale for us to do a tune-up rather than a rebuild. So the direction that I heard from you as a board in our study session on the 9th was to engage in a tune-up using all of those pieces that I just talked about and really focusing in on the work of refining the data metrics and realigning the current strategic plan. I wanted to allow you the opportunity to have any additional discussion, ask me any questions, clarify the frame, but really I'm looking for you to confirm that direction so that we have it as part of the record in a regular board meeting. As a rule, as a superintendent, we do lots of discussion in the study session, but I always confirm the direction of the board during a regularly scheduled meeting so that it's in the minutes and it's the directions given in public.
Thank you, Superintendent Whitney. At our study session before our last board meeting, we also received all of the data in very much detail around the results of the needs assessment for MTSS. The big topics for the superintendent listening tour, which then included those topics with goals to move towards to address them and the progress on those goals. And then we also quickly went over just what had been done with, and I might be getting all my study sessions and board meetings mixed up, but we talked about this last week about our work with Eastern Washington University was out in part of this too.
The Eastern Washington University was the enrollment forecasting for the long-term facilities management plan.
Something else. Yeah. So we did see all of this data in front of us 2 weeks ago, and we did give Superintendent Whitney guidance to go ahead with a refresh instead of a complete redo. Is that still the board's direction this evening, and is there any discussion about it?
I think we're still wanting to do a partial. I don't think we want to do a complete one this particular year, especially considering the financial condition that we are in. We need to be very conservative at this time.
I would agree.
I did have one kind of question. Since we do have 2 new schools since the last time we had these directions going in, and we have new plans for a new bond going out soon, with a lot of new updates going on in Pasco, do you plan on doing another listening tour like you did before or something similar to that in preparation of this, or?
Every year that I've been superintendent, I've done some kind of listening exercise across the district, so this year will be no different. I've yet to plan that, to be honest, but there'll be some kind of opportunity for me to be out and listening to community members. It's been a really key part of the way that I lead the district, is to stay in very close contact with those I'm in service to. So there'll be another superintendent listening tour this year, and I'm sure everyone's just waiting to see what vehicle I use this year. It'll be a surprise.
Superintendent Whitney, it appears that our guidance remains the same to go forward with the refresh.
Okay, so then my next steps is to design and develop a clear timeline for you that, for the process that identifies some interim deliverables that results in a complete tune-up being done and approved by the board by the end of June of 2026. So you could expect as a board to get very regular updates from myself and district staff about that process, either in regular board meetings or study sessions between now and the 30th, so that you'd have lots of time to influence that process and be very prepared and feel very comfortable in approving the full-scale plan by the end of June. So thank you.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is our 2025 Operations and Construction Update. Assistant Superintendent Raul Cital.
Good evening. Board President Brown, Superintendent Whitney, and members of the board. Do you want me to wait for you, Ms. Whitney? Okay, sorry. Sorry, I apologize. Board President Brown, Superintendent Whitney, and members of the board. This evening, I will be providing an overview of our operations and construction projects, including current progress and upcoming timelines. But before I continue, I would like to give thanks to the construction team that is here this evening for the work at Orion High School in Sageview. We have here John Weatherby, our construction manager, Sean Benyon, Sageview construction supervisor, Claudia Campos, Orion construction site supervisor, Eli Garza, audiovisual design team, Dean Dawkins, director, design team manager, a critical piece, Raquel Martinez, principal, Casey Flynn, VPA design team. Now, the reason I want to give thanks is because when we're all said and done, these two buildings came under budget. We're under budget, and it's because we used our very own experts. And these are our experts in the district that we didn't have to go consult with. So they did the work, their everyday job, plus helped design both Orion and Sageview. So I give them thanks. So the operations team is thrilled about the opening of our two new high schools, Sageview and Orion, both open on time, and I say on budget here, but I think by the time we're all set, it's under budget. Our two new high schools officially welcome our first students on August 26th, 2025. Construction crews remain on site to complete the final punch list and warranty items. In addition, work continues on the Sageview High School greenhouse, which is scheduled for completion in December of 2025. This project schedule outlines the Pasco High School A-Wing CTE modernization. At this time, the project is in the schematic design phase, also known as SD phase. This phase is a critical step in the design process as it establishes the overall framework for the project. During schematic design, the team defines the building layouts, key spaces, and primary functions to ensure the project aligns with program requirements and long-term instructional goals. The next step is to work with a technical committee to design the space and program. Construction of the CTE project is scheduled to begin June 26th and scheduled to complete July of 2027. Design West has been contracted as the architect and engineering firm for the Pasco High School athletic field project. Construction of the softball field is planned to begin in the spring of 2026 and will be completed in November of 2026. Design West has been contracted as the architect engineering firm for Chihuahua CT modernization. We are in the initial phase of this project and anticipate a completion date of August of 2026. In addition to the 2023 bond projects, the operation team continues to move forward with several district-wide projects. In March of 2025, the board approved replacement of the HVAC systems in Pasco High School D Wing. Originally planned as a 5-month project, the work was delayed due to supply chain challenges and is now scheduled for completion in February of 2026. During the delay, the maintenance department refurbished the existing HVAC equipment to maintain operations. The affected students and staff were temporarily relocated to portables, or portable AC units or fans were installed in classrooms. I am happy to report that the equipment is finally arrived yesterday morning, and replacement work began immediately in the afternoon. So we are on our way. The McLaughlin HVAC upgrade is in the final stages of completion. The Captain Gray HVAC upgrade is currently under review with the Washington State Department of Energy Enterprise Services. Work on the HVAC system is tentatively scheduled to begin in December of 2025 and scheduled for completion in the spring of 2026. Whittier Elementary HVAC system has been repaired and is operational. To help address high temperature fluctuations, the operations team provided portable air conditioning units and fans at Whittier, Pasco High School, Captain Gray, and McLaughlin. The operation team implemented the new district energy management plan. The plan includes specific strategies and timelines for improving and maintaining energy efficient operations in each of our facilities to comply with the Clean Building Performance Standard Act. Significant strategies include standardizing indoor temperatures and operating schedules in line with established standards, tuning up HVAC and plumbing equipment, including cleaning, fixing broken equipment, and adjusting controls to make the building operate as originally intended or better. Installing modern HVAC control systems at McLaughlin and Captain Gray. In addition to achieving operations with intended efficiency, these controls allow maintenance staff to monitor the building remotely, allowing them to respond faster and more effectively when issues arise in those buildings. Pursuing lighting retrofits in older buildings, energy efficient options for equipment due for replacement, managing the reduction of plug load equipment such as IT devices, vending machines, and dishwashers. By eliminating unnecessary items, ensuring the purchase of energy efficient models, and confirming that all equipment powers down when not in use. If the district does not submit a document showing compliance, the district may face administrative penalties of up to 30 cents per square foot of gross floor area. An example of one of our high schools at 300,000 square foot would amount to $90,000 in penalties. We will be submitting our energy compliance plan to the state in December of '25. In June, the district received formal notification that we were not in compliance with Washington State and the City of Pasco fire codes. The areas of non-compliance included electrical circuit overloads, fire hazards resulting from improper or unsupervised use of appliances. In consultation with the City of Pasco Fire Marshal's Office, the district adopted a safety-first approach to ensure the well-being of all staff and students. As part of the safety requirements, space heaters and personal appliances were required to be removed from all individual classrooms and offices. Examples of personal appliances include, but are not limited to, mini refrigerators, microwaves, coffee makers, crock pots, and toasters. Exceptions to the small appliance restrictions are permitted in shared spaces such as staff lounges or other designated common areas. Additionally, exceptions may be granted for staff accommodations, student 504 plans, IEPs, or specific program-related needs. Another area identified as non-compliant was the kiln rooms. Over the summer, the district conducted assessments at each site and addressed all issues required by the Pasco Fire Marshal. These corrections included clearance markings, shelving replacement, kiln positioning, and HVAC improvements. The Pasco Fire Marshal has authorized the district to resume kiln use once a test firing is completed at each site. These test firings are already in progress, and our district team is working closely with each art teacher to ensure completion ahead of any program needs. Additionally, 4 elementary kiln rooms were found to be undersized. The district is actively working to identify appropriate alternative solutions at those sites. This concludes our operation update. Thank you for your continued support and partnership as we move these projects forward to our students and for our students and community.
Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Cital. Does the board have any questions or a discussion around his report?
Yeah, real quick. Ro, does the Clean Buildings Performance Standards, does the state offer any funding in order to help reach those targets at all?
Well, we received grants, as you remember, we received grants for the evaluation, and then we received $1 million to do the upgrade at D Hall and D Wing. So the Department of Commerce has funded the D Wing operation, and they will continue releasing some funds. We're hoping that we are allowed to participate.
But are those directly related to the Clean Building Standard, the Clean Building Performance Standard? Are those coming from that?
No, I think the state is I think they're collaborating together.
So you've had to apply for those grants?
Yes.
Assistant Superintendent Cital, can you go a little into detail about the CTE modernizations at Chihuahua? What does that all entail?
They're improving. It's going to be the ventilation piece for the new design of printers that they're needing for the CTE program. We bought and repaired, or not bought, we designed Orion with those kind of same printers that they'll be using now at Chihuahua. So they need some ventilation for the big projects, the big printers. So it's not very intrusive.
So it's really just the ventilation system?
It's a ventilation piece. As of right now, I can tell you, we're just beginning the process to go into the big needs and probably some other equipment, but the major piece is going to be ventilation.
Oh, okay.
So what's happening at Pasco High School for the CTE program from the bond funds?
All A-Wing, which is the welding, the wood shop, the automotive shop, the kitchen area, the computer area, the whole A-Wing, which is the whole CTE wing, is being scrapped. And then we'll start from scratch from the inside. We're just keeping the walls, and we're just going to redesign the electrical roofing, because there's a second floor within the classrooms that are made of wood, and that's illegal now to have. So we'll remove all that and start from what the program design and the programmers and the technical team wants to build in. But the square is going to stay the same. The classrooms stay the same, but the design inside will be reprogrammed.
Where will they go while that's happening?
Well, that's a question we're still working with. Probably the portables. Yes. And that's the conversation we're having, is where do we relocate? And it's probably the portables and around the building.
And are you moving any equipment from those classrooms that you're reconstructing to those portables?
No, we'll have to do programs in a different way.
Different way.
For a year.
Where, by curiosity, where is that equipment? Is that being stored somewhere then?
That equipment will be stored. We still have a big, huge warehouse that we rented and leased for the construction. So they haven't been moved yet, but that's where we'll plan on moving.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, I just want to congratulate you guys for getting things done on time and possibly even under budget, at least on budget. And I just think that's awesome. I don't know how many of you've heard of Dairy Gold plant that's just north of town here that has been just way over budget. I mean, significantly over budget. And this was a very difficult time, considering the amount of, inflation that's going on and everything. And so I just want to say I commend each one of you for your work. Well done.
Thank you.
I have a few questions. The HVAC repairs at PHS, those delays, were they caused just by difficulty finding parts because they are so old, or because there was a delay in the shipping?
It was a delay in the supply chain. So yes, we're supposed to start, and it was a delay next month. You'll get it next month. And it was I would say, a negative impact on our system at Pasco High School. A very expensive delay. So it was just a delay of getting the equipment.
I would say that I've heard the most community feedback about that from both students and staff, that classrooms are hot and more classrooms getting cold. With the regulations for space heaters and refrigerators and microwave small appliances like that, I know you said that there would be air conditioners available, so I heard that classrooms were like up in the 80-degree range, but and so obviously those air conditioners are allowed. Will teachers be allowed to have a space heater if their rooms are below a certain temperature?
So they'll have our space heaters.
Okay.
There won't be personal space heaters, so we will be providing the heating systems, and they're already in the school, so they just need to ask. Our custodian will be, or maintenance department will go, because we will respond as far as using our district commercial equipment instead of personal heaters.
And then last year, we heard a lot about the kilns. I don't know that you would know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway and see if someone has an answer. There were a lot of students very upset about not being able to fire their projects by the end of the school year. What was the ultimate status of that? Were we able to find another location for them to do that, or is that being done once we get the kilns approved through the fire marshal?
Okay, we have the BPA
Casey
expert.
coming up to,
He's the lifeline when it comes to those questions, so I'll let him take over.
Yeah, thank you for the question. My name is Casey Flynn. I'm the Director of Visual Performing Arts for the school district. And I was just at Sageview today, and I was just talking with one of the teachers who talked to some of her students this week about those projects that once we have everything up and running, we'll be firing. So tomorrow we're doing our test fire at not at Sageview. We're doing it at Chiawana, and we're working through our buildings in the next few weeks as we're doing it. We're doing a couple a day, couple a week, making sure everything's safe, making sure everything's well, because Mr. Dockin and his team has gone through and done all that work. So we're really appreciative of that. So we know we've got a lot of students waiting on those, and we're going to get those taken care of as soon as we can. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, thank you for all that you do. You've done a great job, and we are thrilled with the progress, and I can't wait till we get that softball field in. The girls have been waiting for that for a long time. So anyway, looks like there's some great projects coming up.
Thank you.
Well, while Board President Brown is making her way to the podium, I just wanted to offer a public apology. I was remiss in not publicly recognizing Sean Benyon as the project manager of Sageview during their ribbon cutting ceremony. And so, Sean, you're here tonight, and I just want to say thank you to you for all your hard work. And I was really deeply sorry that he wasn't recognized, so it just was a nice opportunity to do that tonight.
All right, thank you, Assistant Superintendent Sital, for that report. It's been a long time since I've been on this side of the dais during a board meeting, but I am happy to be here in front of you this evening presenting on our Board of Directors Legislative Advocacy. So good evening, fellow board members and Superintendent Whitney. I am here in front of you because about a month ago, we approved the option to go forward with this report to talk about our legislative advocacy and how we would move forward with making a request of our local legislators, because not only was it a goal that we set as a board that we would begin to work with our legislators at the state and federal levels as a way to grow our capacity as a board, but also we made it we decided to have this report when we approved it in our future agenda items. So why advocacy matters. Our national and state level decisions, they directly affect our district. Of course, we approve our budget here in Pasco School District as a board, but the decisions, of course, made at the state where we get the majority of our funding affect how much money we get. And then the federal dollars we do get $4 million average per year. And so our local voices and saying how important those funds are to our district are really important, especially when we can speak as a unified voice. And those funds are really important to sustain our programs for our staffing and for student learning. So our goals this evening, and as we move forward with this legislative advocacy piece, are to build strong relationships with legislators. We want to also empower our student board representatives and our student action council, superintendent student action council, to empower their student voice and encourage them to also speak. I know that they have lots of valuable things to say, and lots of times their voices are just as strong, if not stronger than ours. And of course, we want to make sure that we as a board, the superintendent, and the student leaders are all unified in the message that we send to our legislators, because again, united, we stand stronger. We all want to protect our federal education funding, which this last July was threatened to be withheld, but then by the end of July, we did receive our federal funding for this year, but all 50 states have received notification that we might not get it next year. And so when we discussed this report about a month ago, we discussed possibly writing a letter. And so this slide contains two different strategies that we could employ. We could do both of them, we could do one of them, but what we came up with when, as we met together, I met with Superintendent Whitney, and we took what we had talked about as a board, and at that board meeting a month ago for this as a report with a pathway forward. And so the first would be letter writing. To be clear, this is not a resolution with whereas statements and saying that whereas we as a board, but rather stories about how those federal dollars positively impact our staffing, our students, and student learning. And we would also ask students to draft a letter from their perspective as well. So that is one option. Again, doesn't have to be either or. We can do both of these things. But and I'm going to ask for us to speak as a board about your direction here in just a second. The other option that we have, which can be an and option as well, we can do the letter and this is something that we talked about as a board to our goal to increase our collaboration with other elected leaders at the state and federal levels, is to invite them into our district. And so that would look like school visits led by students that really show and showcase what positive impact those federal dollars have on those programs, and to review those federal dollars. The $4 million are used toward bilingual education, English language learning education, migrant education, and teacher development around bilingual education and ELL education. And so we really want to showcase what a positive impact those dollars have and how detrimental it would be if we didn't have those, so that they can advocate for our district at the state and federal levels. And what that means for us as a board is that we would be present at those visits at the school sites, and to show that we are invested in these visits as well, and then to have our student board representatives guiding those tours and sharing the stories of what those dollars mean to us. And then we had also talked about having those leaders come to a roundtable study discussion. That is also an option while they are here. We definitely want, if they come to our district, we definitely want to do the put the school tours as a first priority, and then if we can have a roundtable study discussion, if that's what we decide, that's another option that we can add on. So the role of the board in this whole process is to champion advocacy, to write the letter, to be able to, again, to show our investment by being there at the school visits, showing that this is what we want, this is what we need you to advocate for us, and then to be present if we have a study discussion roundtable. role of the superintendent is to coordinate all those items, to provide support to the students, and to build and to maintain relationships with our policymakers, and then to assure alignment with the district priorities and legislative timing. So with all of that, I want to open it up to the board I'm going to take us back to the slide that goes over our strategy overview recommendation and ask what do you want our pathway to be forward in our legislative advocacy, keeping in mind that we don't have a contracted lobbyist right now, and so this is the work that we should do as a board to make sure that our elected leaders at the state and federal levels are hearing us.
Board President Brown, I do have a question. For the school visitations and the district visitations, what's the timeline on that look like? Does it look like within this school year, like something that Jessica, Vicky, Aiden, and I would work on like kind of shortly, or is it something that's like towards like later in the school year? What does that timeline look like?
So your question is whether it would happen earlier or later in the school year?
Yes. What does like the timeline look like? Is it something we want to like work on like kind of shortly, or is it something that's later on in the year?
Well, we need to send out the invites, and I think that would probably to coordinate it, and our leaders at the federal level do have pretty busy schedules, so I'm guessing it would be more towards middle into the school year. But it would just depend. We still, this is the very beginning stages to develop a plan, and so I'm guessing if I had to estimate to say it would be in the middle or end of the year rather than really soon.
So I have a question for you. Who's the legislative aide?
You are.
How come you didn't consult me before you put this together?
You're being consulted now, Director Norberg.
The last time we met, you and I were supposed to get together and do something together, and you didn't do it.
We're talking now about it, Director Norberg. All we did was put together a report.
I just as well be a part of the board. I mean, everybody else is getting to do the same thing I am. There's no real purpose to being a legislative aide.
The plan was to develop a plan and then move forward with it.
Right. We were supposed to get together. If you go back and listen to the report, you talk about how important it is to be unified. This is not a very good example of it.
Do you have other options for how you'd like to proceed that you would like to share?
I say it's a little bit late now, but I'm saying that we should have been together. The goal was for us to get together and talk, probably with Michelle, about this very thing right here.
I'd be more than willing to hear your recommendations or other plans that you have, as I'm sure the rest of the board would.
Steve, I would love for you to get together with her to write that personalized love letter with local stories. I think it's really important that if you two would get together and do that, I think that would be a great idea. And then the superintendent and student action council can get together with the collective and make a collective student statement. I think that would be a great way to move forward from here. And I'm sure we can talk about preventing this in the future in a more appropriate setting.
I also support the board president's recommendations on the slides being presented here. I think both a letter from the board, or a letter that's approved by the board, but also a letter from the student representatives and or with participation from the Action Council would be great. So it'd be two of them. And then to respond to the good point about the site visitations, I think in terms of our planning, I think we need to be mindful that during even years, the legislative session is 60 days. In odd years, it's 120 days, and our legislative delegation is in Olympia during those times. So from January to March in even years, or January to April in odd years. And then I think we should coordinate. We should consider coordinating any site visits with our congressional delegation based on congressional recesses. For example, the August recess is about 5 weeks from beginning of August to Labor Day. I know that doesn't correspond great with our academic year, but it would be difficult for our federal delegation to come to our district when they are scheduled to be in session in Washington, D.C. So I think those type of things we'll need to keep in mind on in terms of scheduling site visits.
Personally, I think we should go with both options. I really am a great believer that action speaks more than words, and I think the site visits would be, like, the letters would be impactful, but the site visits would be more impactful, and I think we should do both, personally.
I agree with Jessica and Dr. Kennedy. I think the on-site has a powerful recognition for that because action does speak louder than words. So yeah, on-site, I strongly believe with on-site more than letter writing.
And I also do believe that this can be a project that more than just us participate in. Like, if we have like leaders in the arts program and leaders in the specific programs who are more knowledgeable in those specific fields, we can invite them as well to kind of show around and give the tours who are more like experienced in those aspects. We can obviously facilitate that and reach out to them. But I think that it would be also could also be essential to invite the other student leaders in the schools.
Absolutely.
I was curious, so for the Student Action Council drafting a collective student statement, do you personally as board president have anything you would wish? Because tomorrow we will be having our first meeting as the Student Action Council, and this topic is planning to be brought up tomorrow. Would you have any set, like, specific things you would like to focus on in this letter for the students, or would you prefer we figure this out on our own without board intervention or comment?
I am a firm believer in student voice, and I believe that Superintendent Whitney will give you information about the federal funding, what it entails, what programs it supports, and then allow you to exercise your creative freedom and elevate your student voice and decide, make that pathway for yourself. I feel if I were to give you any specific guidance, that it would be taking away some of that student voice.
All right, thank you.
And when you and Dr. Norberg do get together with Superintendent Whitney, I really like to read these letters ahead of time. We've done these letters in the past, and it is really nice if we are one voice. Mm-hmm. And so it's really important that we all have our voice in that. So it needs to go out to the board members. We need to be able to say, hey, we don't like this, we do like this. And then those changes, hopefully can be made within that, because I don't want my name signed to something that I can't get behind. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And I understand sometimes there's a dissenting voice, which is fine, but as a whole, we need to be able to largely agree on what is said in that letter. And I do think that's critical that we all review that before it goes anywhere.
What I envision is that Director Norberg and I will draft a letter and then bring it to another report and then allow discussion and feedback on it.
That would be
in
great.
Public.
Thank you.
Superintendent Whitney, do we need to approve a letter? Do we need to have a formal vote on any letter that we send to our federal or legislative delegation?
That's a great question. I don't necessarily think it needs to be formally voted on, but we need to make sure there's a process where we ensure that it aligns with all of your direction.
So along those lines, I just asked Superintendent Whitney, because my concern was too, if the student board reps are going to be writing letters too, then it kind of needs to follow what, the board direction is as well. We need to be unified in that. And so I guess tonight we need to have direction on what we're...
Tonight you need to come to consensus around what strategies you want to employ. So if you want to do letter writing, on-site visits, and the study, that's what you need to tell us. And then we can go back and prepare mechanisms by which those things will happen. So really all you're deciding is which of these strategies do you want to use? Do you want to do a letter? Do you want the kids to do a letter? Do you want legislators to come here and district staff take them around? Do you want to host them in study session roundtables? These are all ideas that I've heard you guys as individuals, or Amanda's heard you as individuals talk about over the last few months. So we have to coalesce around which of these strategies do you want to use, and then once we know which ones you want to use, we can start fleshing out the details and research, like what needs to be approved, what doesn't need to be approved. So really all we need to know right now is what strategies do you want to use?
I think it's important that we build the strong relationship with legislators. And I think they need to know our financial situation. They need to be brought up to speed where things are for our district. And I think that would have probably as big an impact as anything that we can do. And so I just think it's important that we pull in our local legislators and whoever we can bring in and is willing to come, and we discuss with them the challenges that we're having, and so that they have a better understanding for all future decisions that they have to make as well.
Is that going to be best done, though, in a round table format or in visits to the schools? I love having our legislators go out to the schools because it really gives them a taste of who we really are in Pasco. The problem with that is we can only have 2 board members out with those different legislators. And I don't want it always to be the president and the vice president, as it's really important that our other board members also interact with the different legislators. The roundtables are much more effective in allowing all of the board members to get to know the different legislators for our state, but they lack perspective when they're sitting in this boardroom rather than being out in the schools. So is there a way to do both? Because I can see value in both.
So I just want to reiterate what Amy just said too, because I was just about to make a comment about the same thing. I think it's good to have them here with us where we're sitting down, the board is present. Understanding that, though, I do agree that the perspective is limited and that visits, I remember when Chris Reichtel came here, it was good for him to be able to see our district. But I also understand, too, that takes time and there's restrictions there. Although there's probably exceptions that can be made, too. But I agree with Amy. I would love to do, in answering the question that we're supposed to answer tonight, what direction we want to go. I would love to first study session roundtables with, if we can, a secondary focus on visits.
I just want to clarify, the current strategy recommends both things. If you don't want to do both things, we just need to know. If you want to do both things, that's what the strategy is recommending. The strategy is recommending that the board writes a letter, the students write a letter, we invite legislators here for district visits and do these roundtables. So the strategy is outlining those 4 things. If you don't want all 4 of those things, that's the direction we need. If you want all 4 of those things, we're prepared to move in that direction.
And
Does that help?
I support all the above. So I support all the things that are on this slide that Board President Brown and the superintendent are suggesting that we do. I think we do it all-encompassing, including what Director Simmons and Director Norberg and Phillips are also suggesting too. I think it's both and. It's all the above, in my opinion.
So let me reiterate what I heard. If we want, the overall consensus is that we go forward with all the recommendations, but if we had to make a choice between school visitations and roundtables, we feel that the roundtables would be more effective, and no, it's not what I heard.
There's no reason to make a choice.
Okay.
We can do
Okay.
both. Yeah.
We can move forward with everything.
I would have offered both if we
Okay.
could do both. So there's no reason to choose.
Okay.
Like if we want to do them both, let's do it. We're all in.
Sounds good. Thank you.
I should do something for you while you're walking, but I don't know. That's how I feel every time you walk across.
I feel like there should be music playing or something, like the Emmys.
I don't know what to do with it.
The next item on
Future agenda item.
our agenda is future agenda items. Superintendent Whitney?
Thank you. So at our next board meeting at the beginning of October, there will be a study session on multi-tiered systems of support. The targets that you've identified as a board for both to frame district staffs and my work and the goals for my evaluation this year are really heavily rooted in understanding the complexity and kind of the components of the multi-tiered systems of support. So Carla will be doing that. Mira will be in front of you to talk about the school improvement planning process. There's some legislative or some regulatory changes about that. And then we just want to kind of start to talk about your approval process for strategic plan or the improvement plans and then how that feeds into the state of the school reviews. Joey will be in front of you again talking about getting closer to some decision making around the levy. And then we will have our very first Superintendent Student Action Council report. The students are super excited about it. So we have our first meeting tomorrow, which means our first report will be on the 14th.
Thank you. Next, we have communications. As always, we will begin with Dr. Norberg.
I guess I'm a little confused. Wasn't there another option for them to do anybody else that wanted?
You're so right. I'm sorry. And I also neglected to ask if there were other future agenda items that the board wanted to propose. So thank you for that reminder, Dr. Norberg. We have heard reports this evening on District Strategic Improvement Plan Refresh, Recommendation, 2025 Operations and Construction Update, and Legislative Advocacy. Is there anyone present in the boardroom who would like to offer public comment at this time? Anyone online, Mr. Garrett? Thank you. And are there any board members who would like to propose future agenda items?
I did notice that we kind of had a bit of confusion on if we needed to have a formal vote, like you board members needed to have a formal vote on sending letters. Is that something that I might want to look into, if that is something we have to formally vote on, if we want legislators to come in? I don't know. I just don't know if that's something that, if it is something we need to vote on, do we want to do that as soon as possible? That way we can begin work on that? Or is that, I want to just make sure that isn't something we do on accident.
Okay. Are there other board members who would like to hear that report as well, or to have a I suppose that would look like a report on what takes formal action and what does not in a board meeting, or perhaps in a Friday update?
So I think what I said during the report was, now that we have clear direction, the next step would be to bring back, here's how we're going to execute each of those pieces. So I think I already got that direction from the board, or already intended to do that. So I don't think it's necessary to take it through the formal or the future agenda items process.
Generally, when we do have an item that requires formal action from the board, it's in the agenda and it's under action items, or there is a formal suggested motion on the presentation. And so we try to gain consensus as a board if we have a majority, which is 3 board members who want to move forward with a plan. But sometimes in gaining that consensus without a formal motion, it can be a little bit like muddy the waters a little bit in figuring out who's in favor of what. So sorry, that was a little confusing this evening. Any other future agenda items to be proposed? Okay, I apologize, Director Norberg. Now it is your time for your communications.
Our country's went through a very difficult last couple weeks. Turning Point USA has been very pioneering in opening up our free speech, and on campuses and on high schools in many different areas. And unfortunately, somebody tried to silence that right. And Turning Point has done a very good job of handling the situation as far as handling difficult times in a very good way. And also, it's very amazing to me the strength and the resolve that Turning Point showed when she basically got up and forgave the person that killed her husband. To me, it's only through the strength of her faith that she had the ability to do that. And I think that sometimes we really do limits free speech in our society. Some people just get up and walk out. Some people don't want to hear it. But I think free speech is important for our society. And I know personally, it's been my faith that's held me together in the very toughest of times. You know, we're free to talk about school spirit. There's no problem talking about school spirit. But there's certainly a problem in our society talking about the Holy Spirit. And I don't think that's right. I think our country went through a breakthrough, and I think that when we do the Pledge of Allegiance, what do we say at the end? Under God. Well, how is the school under God if we can't even mention His name? Our country has a deep history in the Christian faith. And the strength that I received through my most difficult times I was helped through my faith. And I just hope that this school is a school, this district is one where we can talk openly and honestly about things. Our kids need to have an ability, you know, I really think what happened was there is a void in our kids, a God-sized hole. I'm not saying that we become a church or anything like that. I'm just saying we just need to be open to talk about it. That's how we grow, that's how we learn. And where there's not an ability to speak, that's when bad things happen. And so we've got to be able to speak. And we need to be able to encourage our kids in everything. And I know our president passed or signed an executive order that now prayer is open in our schools. And I truly hope it's open in our schools. And so I just wanted to bring this up. I think it's an important area that we need to talk about. I apologize if I didn't handle my situation earlier with Amanda the proper way. But I just think it's important that we have the ability to talk and to work our way through different things in our society, because I think that's just our First Amendment right. Do we lose our First Amendment when we come to school? I don't think we should. So anyway, this is just something I just wanted to share with you guys to kind of hopefully open things up in our school, in our district. And I hope that the students that are in the school has that freedom as well. And so that's why I bring this up, because I want everything for these students. Because I know, like I said before, when I was in my most difficult times, it was my faith that pulled me through. And I know kids go through difficult times, and I want them to have everything that they can have as they go through their difficult times. Thank you.
So I was kind of sad that the teacher that was in the front row from Stevens left. Was her name Chelsea Gerber? Did I write that down correctly? I actually looked her up on Stevens and couldn't even find it. We don't get a lot of thanks as a board, and I'm not complaining, because I really do love the work that we do on this board. It is sometimes heavy and sometimes difficult and sometimes rewarding, and it's been. But thanks isn't something we get a lot of, and so I just wanted to tell her thank you for coming, just to tell us thank you. We do get it occasionally, and it just really means a lot. And the next thing I wanted to share was I was able to have the opportunity to go and teach a class at Chihuahua High School and at Pasco High School on behalf of the board. As they were talking, there was a class that in the CTE program of both those schools that trains kids that want to be teachers. And they have a brand new curriculum. As part of that curriculum is they learn about the board. So Superintendent Whitney got to go out a week before I did and talk about the superintendent's role. And I got to go out and talk to the kids about what we do as a board. And what our role is and what our responsibilities are. And it was, that was one of my joyful moments on the board. It was so fun talking to the kids, answering their questions, and telling them the importance of what we do on the board as we have learned that our actions do have rippling repercussions throughout the whole school district, and what we do and how we conduct ourselves as a board is critical to the success of the board, and it also directly affects student achievement. So the board role is important, and it was really rewarding to talk to the students in this district about that this week.
I actually would just like to speak briefly to the points that both Director Phillips and Director Norberg have raised, specifically about this own board and this own body. I've been very gratified and grateful for the leadership of both former Board President Phillips and current Board President Brown in allowing this body to debate, discuss issues in a very collegial, collaborative way, professional way. Sometimes we disagree on this dais over issues. Sometimes we disagree fiercely. We have different points of view, and that's okay. But we are very fortunate over the last few years to have leadership on this board from Director Phillips and Director Brown in ensuring that there is an atmosphere and an environment where colleagues can discuss these issues and find consensus and a path forward for the betterment of all of our students, all of our families, and all of our community members. And in the end, that is why we're here, is to ensure that our community, our students, our future is successful. And I would also just say, just to add on to what Director Norberg mentioned, is it's been a very tough few weeks in the United States and in every community in this country. It's important for all of us to take a firm stand against the use of political violence and political intimidation, that the right to express oneself freely in this country through the First Amendment is an important sacred right. And throughout our history, there has been too many instances in which the use of violence is used instead of discussion, persuasion, and acceptance, and finding compromise and common agreement. And I hope that all of us, whether we're in positions of public trust or common citizens, really think on the importance of civility, of finding common ground, and always rejecting violence in the political discourse. And I think that's something that I hope that we continue to keep in mind, and that the lessons of the last few weeks have brought that forward. And I hope we can continue to move forward in a civil, respectful way, even if we have our disagreements. Thank you.
Well, I don't got anything that heavy I was planning on talking about. It is good to have those discussions, but what I was planning on saying was there are some interesting events coming up soon that I'm excited to be taking part of. For starters, tomorrow at Delta High School, we are having a career day organized by Columbia Basin Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons. I believe that's how it's pronounced. That's at Delta High School from 5 to 8 p.m. And I do see Mrs. Benyon, the principal, out there. Hi. Is that available to all students, or is that only Delta students?
The whole Tri-City.
Whole Tri-Cities. So if anybody wants to come, I feel like that'd be a wonderful opportunity. We have attorneys, we have chiropractors, sheriffs, and more being there. It would be a very valuable experience that I believe would be wonderful for a lot of people in the community. The second thing is tomorrow as well, we are having our first Student Action Council meeting. I am very excited to see returning faces, new faces, and get to introduce everybody to each other, talk about what we're going to be doing, and just the discussions I think this year are going to be really insightful, and I'm really excited for that. And then on a more personal note, this Saturday, Chiawana High School speech and debate team is hosting a speech and debate camp. So it will be kind of, well, would you like to talk about that or? Okay, yeah, it's mine, I think so. It's like my only character trait. It's going to be extremely exciting for those of us who are planning on doing speech and debate. It goes over different topics and how it's presented and how to do it. And I'm extremely excited and thankful that Chiawana is hosting that this year. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
I just wanted to highlight what Director Phillips was talking about in her visitation to the Teaching Academy class and superintendent's visit as well. I'm one of the Teaching Academy students at Chiawana High School, and what they were stating at the visits, Superintendent Winnie said to our students, she was like, any of you can and have the potential of being an administrator, of being a superintendent, of being some sort of leader in the future. And then Director Phillips also said that any one of you could also be a school member. They kind of gave us like the hope and that kind of like ability to think that, oh, us students too, we can do something big like our leaders in our district are doing. So it kind of gave me that hope, and it gave me that affirmation that, oh, I chose the right career in education. So I want to highlight that. I also had the privilege of attending the Livingston Carnival, and it was very inspiring to see the families and the students all come together, and it reflected truly the spirit of community in our Pasco School District. So I really enjoyed that. I also joined the McGee Elementary for the Mustang Roundup this past week, where the excitement and energy was truly there. I love to see all of the McGee students were really pride. They have this Mustang pride. They all had their red shirts on. It was truly inspiring to see that. It wasn't something that I saw too much during my elementary, but seeing them now, they have so much pride, and they're all so excited to be at school. It's really good to see that. Both events are very powerful reminders that our elementary schools aren't just places of learning, but they also bring our communities together and cultivate the identity of what it means to truly be Pasco, because we are Pasco. In addition to these school visits, I also have begun collaborating with the Chiawana admin team on an initiative that I'm calling District Communications. As outlined in the District Policy 1115, student board representatives are tasked with reporting to students about the work that we do here on the school board. So I think it is very important for me to talk to students at Chiawana High School what we're doing here. So I view this responsibility more or less as not an obligation, but kind of like an honor that I look forward to fulfilling this role as student board representative to keep doing until the end of my term. To that end, I will soon begin inviting all Chiawana students to participate in monthly or potentially bi-monthly district communication meetings that I will host during Hawk Time pretty soon. And finally, I would like to highlight a very important upcoming event. Chiawana High School's new Mind Matters Club invites all Pasco School District students, staff, and community members to join the 10th annual Take Strides TC Walk, hosted by the Tri-Cities Youth Suicide Prevention Coalition. This event takes place tomorrow, September 24, at 5 p.m., beginning and ending at the Fran Risch Stadium parking lot. Participants are encouraged to wear yellow and to show support for suicide prevention, and the event will include food, music, giveaways, and inspiring speakers, and a lot more at the Hapo stage. So I look forward to seeing all of you who can be there, and I'll be there as well. So you guys are all welcome to come. And yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to mention that Pasco High will be having a college and career fair next Monday, October 6th in the student mall from 4 to 7. This is a great opportunity for seniors or for upperclassmen or for like any high school student who's interested in learning more about colleges and learning what college you want to go to, because learning what college you want to go to, or if you even want to go to college, you know? So, because learning what college you want to go to or what you want to do is not a decision you make really fast. It takes time. So, I encourage everybody to attend this event. Next, last Friday, Pasco High had their first official home game. It was really exciting. I was there. I was hanging out with my friends because they're in the marching band. Pasco High in the band, and just like the way that football games have seen some changes recently, and like this year specifically. For example, our marching band isn't in competition and they aren't really marching in the field. So that was something different. But besides that, like the energy was still so strong and so amazing. I'm really like proud to see the outcome these games have, and especially I feel like they've been promoted really well recently, and it's just so exciting to like be like, oh, are you going to the game on Friday? And they reply yes. I'm excited for what this year has to come for our football team, especially with our new coach, DJ Search, and the new adventures that are to come. Also today we had a state send-off for Mrs. Gabriela Whitemarsh. She's going to Olympia for the Teacher of the Year for Washington State, and which will be revealed this Saturday, so wishing her luck. Next, last week was the first week of Running Start, so to every Running Start student out there, you will survive. Yeah.
So for at St. Jude High School News, we're getting our clubs started, and we have our sports playing this week. So first we have the St. Jude volleyball that is playing today with Richland. Second, we got St. Jude softball versus Chihuahua. Third, we got St. Jude girls soccer versus Richland, and finally we got the upcoming football game, which is this Friday. It's St. Jude versus Kennewick. It's at Edgar Brown Stadium, I believe. More information about our school is that our students have been showing LEAD, which stands for Leadership, Engagement, Accountability, and Determined. And a fun fact about St. Jude is that 97% of our students have shown great behavior since we first started school. And honestly, I'm like super proud of it. Like, oh my God. And then to wrap this up, the end of October is homecoming. We're still choosing a theme. We don't know, but we're almost there. And class officers, are being elected for Student Action Council. And other than that, that's it. Yeah.
Well, I just want to thank our board reps for, giving us the updates about what you guys are doing and the events going on. That's wonderful. You guys are absolutely involved, and that's great. What a benefit you are to each of your schools. And then again, of course, not to make this serious again, so I apologize after those wonderful reports that you guys gave. Director Kennedy, Director Phillips, and Director Norberg, I just wanted to say thank you for your guys' comments. Director Kennedy, I couldn't agree more with what you said. I've been doing a lot of thinking about this in these last couple weeks as well, and we interact with other boards. We see other boards. At our annual WASDA conference, we get to see how other boards interact. Sometimes we watch, other board meetings and get to see how they interact. And I'll just be honest that not all boards are able or willing to have very difficult discussion and be open and honest about some of the things that they talk about, and they struggle. I think one of the things that is really good about this board is that we are unified in one goal, and that is ensuring that those outrageous outcomes on that board over there are able to be achieved, that we are able to work towards those goals. That only happens if we're able to have open and honest discussion and look at factual data and be honest about it and have some deep conversations. For instance, funding and being prepared right now to what we're going to do about this levy and about our bond issue. We come from very different backgrounds. We have very different opinions, very strong. I think if you were to look at each of us individually, you'd see that we very, very much both in very many different ways. And it's just amazing that we're able to sit and have a conversation, difficult decisions, and still come out with respect for each other. And what that does is it allows the district, the administration, our students to see that example and also to be able to move forward with those goals. And I'm very, very thankful for that. I think that is something that needs to be recognized. And so I just wanted to thank Director Kennedy for those comments, because I couldn't be in more of agreement. And other than that, that's all I have.
I'm a little bit like Aiden to follow up with some very poignant and important comments. I want to start with something that's not quite as fun as the first thing that I was going to say. So I submitted, and Director Simmons and I submitted our Board of Distinction application since our last board meeting. Thank you to Director Phillips for reminding us of the due date. It wouldn't have got submitted without you, so thank you. And I am very hopeful for every year that I've worked on it. We've been recognized as a Board of Distinction. I've done a lot of that with Director Phillips, and last year with Director Simmons, always with the guidance of Superintendent Whitney. Although I feel like this year I kind of decided on a topic that I felt would really speak to the committee who's deciding, and that was our belonging work, about how we in Pasco believe that when students feel they belong, they not only want to come to school, but they can achieve higher academically and will participate more in activities. And we'd had a big study discussion about the levy and after-school activities, and also elective activities like performing arts. And the research does show that when students are active in those either performing arts or other electives or after-school activities, that their academics are increased in success, and that they also, because they're involved in those activities, they're doing things outside of school besides getting into trouble. And so it's really important that we continue that belonging work. And so that was what the topic of it was, the part that I wrote. I wanted to thank our student board representatives, because your comments are so timely and so detailed, and especially Jessica and Noe for really taking initiative. And Jessica said last meeting that she has a student suggestion box at Pasco High. Noe with his announcement tonight that he's going to start regular meetings for students who want to know what's going on at the board level. And for Director Phillips, okay, I have a bachelor's degree in education, I have a master's degree in education, I have a principal's certificate, and never once have I had a class that talked about board or superintendents. So that's amazing that we're teaching our high schoolers about it, because we're a really important part of the school district. And although our work doesn't often trickle down to the classroom in visible ways that students can tangibly see or touch, our work is important, and learning how school districts are governed is very important. So thank you for mentioning that. I was also in the VIP Pepper Gauntlet at the Fiery Foods Festival. I was the one who said, okay, I'll represent the district, and it was fun. I made it 6 peppers in. Wow. And out of 11. Oof. Ramon Ayala made it through all 11. Like I said earlier, he was the winner of the entire thing, and so I had to excuse myself after 6 and came back and congratulated him. And then, I recorded the PSD minute, which my part of the PSD minute, it was about our high school open houses for our 2 new high schools. So our Sageview open house is going to be on Monday, October 13th. This is open to all community from 5:30 to 7. And Orion High School open house on Thursday, October 16th from 5:30 to 7. And said a special thank you to Pasco voters for making these schools possible with the passage of our bond. And then after I did the Pepper Gauntlet, I went over to Safeway and I announced the band bands, the mariachi bands that were playing for Hispanic Heritage Month. There was a band from Pasco High, a mariachi band called Las Tres Herencias, that were 3 students, 2 freshmen and a sophomore, I think, and they were amazing. And then the Chihuahua Mariachi Band came and played inside the store, and then the store had we partnered with Safeway, and they had a whole like sampling of Hispanic foods around the store. So we walked around and ate some food and listened to the mariachi. And so it's been a busy couple of weeks, but I've loved being out in the community and participating in those activities.
So I just want to highlight a couple of, if you think you've been busy, we can continue to be busy because we have some more upcoming events. We have a dual language. We're honored to host the Washington Office of the State or the Superintendent of Public Instruction for our first dual language school visit for the 25-26 school year. Not the first ever, just the first of this year. Will be Thursday the 25th, so this Thursday. The event will welcome educators and leaders from across the state to learn about the dual language program, because ours is not only the largest, but the most successful in the state. That's what the OSPI press briefing said. I did not make up those words, although I think that's true. This visit is an opportunity for us to highlight the outstanding work of our students, educators, and families while we're fostering statewide collaboration and advancing bilingual education. So we're really excited about that opportunity on Thursday. And then coming up is our VIP day. The first one this year will be at Orion High School on October 16th from 8 to noon. So this is a really special opportunity for community members to spend the morning with students and staff. Guests will have a chance to join classroom activities, hear school highlights, tour the school, and experience Orion's unique career-focused programming. So I really encourage anyone who wants to come to RSVP by October 3rd through our website. So super awesome opportunity to see our new school and that new program in action. And then we also are opening the ambassador application on October 6th. So our ambassador program is designed to give parents, community members, staff, and students a deeper understanding of the day-to-day operations of our district. So the participants will meet once a month for 7 months and learn about key areas of our district, including academic programs, operations, facilities, etc. So just watch for more information in the application link on our social media website, Parent Squared. So you apply, but we accept everyone who applies. It isn't a competitive application, but we do ask people to apply. And then I met with Director Phillips this week to hammer out the details of our upcoming book study on the anxious generation. So an invitation will be going out to people to identify participants. We'll have meetings starting, I think our first one's October 22nd, and there'll be about a meeting a month from October to January. And I did my first ever in a really long time clock hour proposal today, so it will have clock hours for any PSD employee, including if you are a parent or community member that's a substitute and you need clock hours. If you participate in this book study, you can get free clock hours. So not only an awesome opportunity to learn about the book, and really designed for employees, parents, and students to co-collaborate around learning this book, because the theory is that if we want to change behaviors and mindsets around technology, that it has to be done within community and collaboration between schools, parents, and students. So really excited, and just thank you, Director Phillips, for your willingness to lean into that space with us. And thank you to Amazon for sponsoring 100 copies of the book. Truly, without Amazon sponsorship, we wouldn't be able to make this happen, because we just couldn't afford to purchase the book. So thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for your communications this evening. The next item on our agenda is our executive session, of which we have none tonight, and so we will adjourn. Thank you for your attendance.